So today the markets were just a bloodbath on all fronts, and unfortunately BMNR was one of its biggest victims. However, let's look at the chart and let's see what this actually means. How is it going, everyone? Yas here from Trading Vanguard. I'm a technical trader who trades short squeeze, momentum and volatile stocks. All of the information shown in this video is not financial advice and just my opinion. So guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be taking another look at BitMine Immersion technologies and make an update following my first video on it. Now, when I've made my first video on it, I believe, the stock was up, it was super hyped, and if I remember correctly, I think the YouTuber Mr. Beast had invested, or I think he was going to invest about 200 or 300 million, something along those lines, like a ridiculous amount of money into the company. And in my first video, I made it very, very clear. To me, as a technical trader, news means nothing in the real world of trading. Also, I'd seen online about, the company holding a certain amount of Ethereum, the cryptocurrency or whatever. Guys, same old, same old. Look, the whole point of my channel is to help educate people looking to get into technical trading. And I would like to put it out there, okay, that a stock's value has nothing to do with their holdings or what's on their books or, their cash reserve or their fundamentals. Guys, a stock's value simply comes from the basic demand versus supply equation. Okay, it's as simple as that. Simple market economics. It's all about what the market makers, the hedge funds, the banks, the financial institutions, the whales, you name it. They control the price, and that's final, regardless of all of the amount of fundamentals you may bring to the table. And unfortunately, this is just how trading works. If they are not happy with a stock's price, they will absolutely crush it down. And there's nothing you can do about it until they are satisfied with the price. And guess what? Then they switch sides and then they start buying. And believe me, they will only start buying shares at the best possible price. And as a technical trader, all you can do is learn to see where the best possibility is of them potentially buying and them potentially selling for you to make that tiny bit of money, whilst of course they make the rest. Now that's all out of the way, let's actually look at the charts. So we are looking at the daily chart, guys, and of course not looking good from the last update. I remember last time that the stock was waiting at around $30, and this was a very vital level of support. $30. And I had made it clear that should $30 not hold, then unfortunately, looking at the stock, there just isn't any other levels of support that I was able to identify. You are just kind of in sort of no man's land in this area. And you guys can see that right on the charts. There's just nothing that we can go off. And the closest level of support, and in my opinion it's a small level of support, was waiting at this line, which I made dotted because it is a weak support. It was waiting at $17.80. And guys, what do you know? The stock has just completely tanked down and now is waiting at this level of support. Now, this, guys, for me, this is kind of the final straw, if you was to ask me, for my personal opinion. If the bulls don't step in now, and if the bulls don't show that they are interested in buying the stock at these price levels, then unfortunately, guys, and it is unfortunately, it will start to look really, really ugly for BMNR. And as I mentioned in the previous video, the next price level for me is waiting at the bottom of the trend channel. And guys, we start to go into the single digits, and of course we have this open down gap waiting to get filled at $4.57. Now I know people are probably thinking, well, how does a stock go from its, all-time high of whatever it was, like 160, back down to $4. Well, also ask yourself the same question, guys. How can it go from before it squeezed, again, literally the same level, $4, up to 160 within 2 days? So guys, just the way it can go up, it can easily come down. So yeah, like I said, guys, let's go back in. The bulls absolutely need to take control now, and take control fast. I want to see them at least staying above this level. And in my opinion, I would like to see an immediate reaction. When I say immediate, of course, this is a ticker with, quite a lot of shares, and it's got a decent, market cap. So it would take, in my opinion, a few days, maybe a couple of weeks. But then other than that, guys, I would want to see the bulls accumulate their position here and then start to take the stop to the upside. Okay, if I switch to the weekly chart as well, yeah, guys, there's another open down gap waiting, and on weekly charts, guys, the stock has a higher probability of closing these gaps. So yeah, looking at my chart, a 96.5% probability of closing its gaps to the up and to the downside. So, guys, I would love to see the stock, start to recover soon. However, if we're looking at the pre-market, it's already kind of piercing through, but that's fine. As long as it could bounce around this area, then I would be happy, and I would see it as accumulation. Then, of course, this is where we would want the bulls to completely drive the price up. But like I said, guys, if they can't do that, then yeah, we can go down, and there's even open down gaps waiting at $3.30. So it could really, really get ugly for BMNR. However, guys, let's see what will happen if the bulls do take control. So if the bulls do step in, then of course, what we would want to see is them accumulate their position first, okay, and then recover quickly, okay. So like I said, in my head, I didn't want it to be more than a few weeks, 2 to 3 to 4 weeks tops, and then we would want to see BMNR take to the upside again. And of course, we can see there are a lot of open gaps waiting, which again, just as it's got a high probability of closing the down gaps, it's got just as much of a probability of closing the up gaps. And my final price target was $52.38. And again, that sits at the top of the descending trend channel. So, a lot of positives in terms of the upside. However, what we really, really need to see is the big boys stepping in and accumulating their position in this area. It's vital. And yeah, should they take this position, then yeah, I would say without a shadow of a doubt, guys, I would be confident in saying $52.38 would be a realistic price target. So look, I know it might not be exactly the news you wanted to hear, but I have to be honest with you guys about the situation of the stock. All right. So what did you guys think about my analysis? Also, if you guys have any other ticker suggestions or would like a stock analyzed, please drop it in the comments below. If you guys found this video useful, please drop it a like. And if you are a similar trader to myself, please consider subscribing, as I have other content, similar content to stocks like BMNR that are pretty much ready to squeeze. And, it might be worth you, potentially getting out of this and maybe going into another one. Of course, this is not financial advice. Once again, I'd like to end the video by saying it's not financial advice. Trading can be extremely risky, and you should always have a trading strategy to stay safe. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.